Ben Gothard here with Project Egg, and today I want to talk about a morning routine. I was watching, I know I was speaking with one of my good friends, Chris, and he was telling me about Tom Bilyeu, who started Quest Nutrition. Those Quest bars, they're delicious. They're pretty awesome. He then went and sold that company. I think he pocketed like $400 million, and he went to start Impact Theory, which is a great video talk show and has a lot of other things. But he put out a blog post where he was talking about his morning routine. And I've been studying morning routines for a long time, right? I looked at Tom's. I looked at this guy, Jim Kwik from Quick Brain, his morning routine. That one's ridiculous, right? Tom's was more like, you want to wake up, go work out. You want to do this, that, and the other thing. But it's mainly about, just getting into a flow. Jim Quick's was, let me optimize every part of my brain, and like brain tea, brain smoothie, all this kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see the differences in these successful people's morning routines. And a morning routine is something that I personally have been experimenting with in my own life. I've tried waking up and journaling immediately. I've tried waking up and doing brain exercises or dream recall or going to the gym immediately or meditation. And what I've found is that it's really difficult to stick with a morning routine. It's very difficult, especially when you try to do it every single day consistently for a long period of time. Now, what I've discovered for myself is that trying to create a time when I wake up every single day does not work. Oh my goodness, it does not work. I went through a period of time where I was trying to wake up at 4:30 every day. And not trying to, I did. I set alarms. I woke up at 4:30 every single day, and it was interesting because it was empowering in the sense of I got up, I was getting a lot of stuff done in the mornings, and I felt awesome. I did. But then by the time I got to 8 or 9 o'clock at night, I mean, I was just done. I was toast. So I would have to go to sleep. And the issue is, at least for me, was that I was like, I love my family, and my family is the most important thing in the world to me. And the more time that I get to spend with my family, the happier that I am. So I like to spend time with my family, my parents, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, cousins, friends, family, like quality time with people who I care about, especially family is very important to me. So what would happen would be I would be going out to eat with them or being with my family. And if I didn't time it perfectly to where I got back to my home at around 8 or 9 o'clock and I could go to sleep at that time, if I didn't time it like that, my whole routine was shot and I felt like a zombie the next day because I'd still have to wake up at 4:30 no matter what, right? And maybe you can do this way better than me, but I cannot wake up at 4:30 every day continuously if I don't get 8 hours of sleep. Like maybe 7 to 8 hours of sleep a night. Like trying to run on 4 hours of sleep, 5 hours of sleep, like that does not work for me. So if it works for you, that's great, but that doesn't work for me. And I find that I can pull it off for a couple days in a row, but then I start feeling like I start feeling like a zombie. It messes with my cognitive ability. I don't want that. Like it's hard enough trying to run a business, but I mean, if you're also mentally impaired because of your sleep, like it's just ridiculous. Like I don't want to handicap myself in that way. So um, those different parts of the morning routine, as far as like setting a time to wake up, that doesn't work for me. And maybe I didn't give it enough of a chance. Maybe I wasn't doing it right, but the way that I tried it, it didn't work. Now, what was interesting was um, journaling does work for me. I love journaling. A lot of people say they want to journal like on a piece of paper or a notepad or something like that. I actually journal in my phone, and I'm sure a lot of people are like, but that's not actually journaling. And, okay, I don't care. What I do care about is being able to express my thoughts and to be able to write stuff down. So I actually keep a Google Doc in my phone over here. I know that doesn't actually show you the Google Doc, but I keep a Google Doc in my phone, and I have it where I can do it offline too, which is cool. And I just go and I write, and I write and I write and I write whenever I feel, uh, whenever I feel so inspired to do so, right? And a lot of the times it happens when I first wake up. So I first wake up and I just write, and I just write and I write and I write and I write and I write. Now, when I finished reading Think and Grow Rich for the second time, because I wasn't journaling yet when I read it for the first time, but the second time, one of the big things in that book is to talk about your goals, and to like repeat your goals, or have it written, or write it down every day, or have it on the walls or something like that. So what I would do is I would wake up and I would write my goals. I would just write them out, write them down. And that was actually pretty helpful, because I found that my mind was very scattered a lot. And so by waking up and writing down my goal, I was like, oh, that's what I need to focus on. And then I could go into the specifics of like, okay, what do I need to focus on today? And then that helped me get organized. So that was really helpful. And it was something to where I kept that up daily for a couple years. Yeah, it's been a couple years now. Wow. And I actually, I like to experiment. I like to test on myself. I feel like I'm a human guinea pig. And so I started trying to write down in a journal again, all my thoughts and whatnot. And what I figured out was writing it does not work for me, because I will write so much that I'll run out of paper, and then it's like, okay, well, I don't want to lose that. I don't want to have to like store all these journals. So I would take a picture of what I wrote, or multiple pictures for, if I span a few pages, and then I would import that into my phone in that same Google Doc. And I was like, well, that's not really helpful. It's taking way too long to load. Like, no, I just want to do what worked for me. And so journaling, that definitely works for me. And I haven't been doing it as much lately, because interestingly enough, when I went to go write it, it threw me off of my schedule, or I guess my routine or my habit of journaling in the phone. So that's been an interesting dynamic. And as I'm doing this video, I'm now going to recommit myself to going back on the Google Doc. So that was interesting for me. Meditation, that was cool. I will say that was really cool. Now, caveat, or maybe not a caveat, but I do not have any meditation experience. Like, I'm not a guru. I'm not an expert. I haven't really talked to that many gurus. I mean, my aunt and my uncle in California, they are pretty routinely, they're routine practitioners of spirituality or meditation, I guess. I don't know the right way to say it, so I'm not meaning any harm by what I'm saying. I'm trying to communicate it. But anyways, they practice meditation on a regular basis, and so they're very experienced with it, but I'm not, right? And I've talked to them about it, but I haven't really I haven't had that much experience with it. I just kind of do it how I like to and when I want to do it. And what usually works for me is going outside, because I love being in nature, and it's just a really good excuse to be in nature, and it's very calming for me, because I spend a lot of the time in front of my computer. So I'm like, all right, well, this is a good chance to go outside. So I go outside. There's like a swing. It's like a big wooden swing. It's kind of like a bench swing, if you can imagine that. And I sit on the bench swing, and I close my eyes, and I just kind of relax. And it's interesting. I don't know why I decided to do this, but I projected my I like projected my consciousness in front of me, right? And I just imagined a straight line, all the love and gratitude and appreciation that I had for everything and everybody in my life. I just tried to and love. I just tried to push it forward, like cognitively or mentally or maybe spiritually or consciously. Again, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not an expert here. I'm just trying to relay my my experiences. So I just tried to push that forward, and it was cool. Like, I really felt like I was giving something to the world in front of me, and it felt like I went straight forward, and then I went and made like a 360 loop around my head, really slowly, really slowly, and I just tried to project good vibes in front and then all around. And so I felt like I was trying to give as much of my consciousness, of my love, or whatever it was, just give it as much as possible. And then once I had made that full 360 circle, then I wanted to release all of the bad stuff that was in my body, right? I wanted to give as much as I could and put all that good stuff out in the world. And then I wanted to kind of cleanse myself. And it was like, it's like a physical cleanse, but also like a mental cleanse. And all this is happening in a span of 15, 20 minutes, right? It's not like this elaborate, intricate thing. And it, it was almost like all the bad is just releasing. And it's interesting because I thought, well, do I want to push it down or do I want to push it up and out? It was, I don't know why I was thinking about that, but it was important to me when I was doing this the few times that I did. Um, and so I decided I want to push it down because when I breathe in, I want to breathe in the good. So I don't want to be pushing something out that way and also taking in. And I don't know why that was important to me, but it seemed like it made sense at the time. So I pushed it all out through my toes, and then I felt really good. And honestly, it was very relaxing, and I felt very calm and very peaceful after that. And then I just tried to breathe and breathe in, um, happiness and positivity and um, whatever the good stuff is for you. That's what I was trying to breathe in. And then at that point, I was very calm, right? And let me kind of go on a quick tangent here. I had thoughts that would pop into my head like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to think about this, think about that. And what I did was I decided that those thoughts are totally valid. They're totally valid. Those are great points. Um, but I don't need to worry about them right now. And I can just kind of let them go. And some of them would come back multiple times, and that's okay. I just had to let it go, and just like let it pass. And I know that it's not really helpful, but that's really the only way I can describe it. Right? It's almost like I didn't acknowledge it to the extent that I normally would. Like normally, I take my thoughts seriously. I'm like, okay, thinking about this thing. Let me give it some brain power. Let me think about it. But this time, I was like, no, I'm just gonna let it go, let it do its thing. And it was cool. It just kind of passed, and like I acknowledged it, and then I let it go. And I think that slight acknowledgement, but not over analyzing it, I think that was what allowed it to pass on. And so as this was happening, um, I got into the state of being extremely calm, right? So I'd projected all the good stuff, and then let all the bad stuff out and breathed all the good stuff in. And then at that point, it was so interesting. I felt like there was a space, a tiny little space between my brain and like my mind and my body. And again, this may not make any sense to you, but it really felt real to me at the time. And it still does. It was like a very real experience for me. It felt like there was a space between my mind and my body, just a tiny little space. And it felt like I was trying to go into that little nook and cranny, right? And I was just trying to just barely get in there. And I don't even know what was going through there, because if it's not your mind and if it's not your body, like what is, maybe your consciousness? I don't know. But whatever it was, it felt like it was me, and it felt like my mind and my body were not me, and they were separate. And so I was going through this little space. And when I got to the other side, it was amazing. It was like being engulfed in like pure happiness and bliss and peacefulness, and just it was awesome. It was so cool. I know I'm not giving very good descriptor words. Imagine all of the weight that is on your mind, on your body. All of that is just gone. It really felt like I was almost floating, and it was really a cool experience. And so at that point, I said to myself, um, I said something to the effect of, "You're doing great. You know, I believe in you, or I believe in me." And at that point, it was getting really meta. I didn't exactly know who I was talking to, but I was just trying to say, I'm proud of the things that I'm trying to do. Um, I want to do good, and let's make it happen. Let's do it. Like let's be happy. And that was the biggest point of be happy, because there's no reason not to be. And in this moment, like, it is such a choice, and I want to choose to be happy. And then it's like I broke the trance, right? And I sat up and I went about my day, right? And it was awesome. Like, I felt very empowered and very calm. Now, I don't exactly know what that was, but what I do know is that it was awesome, right? And it was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. It was almost like an out of body experience, but it was like an out of mind experience. So then I actually was really into meditating after that. I was like, okay, that was an incredible experience that I've never had before. And I'm really big on experiences, right? So that really catapulted my interest in meditation. It's like I kind of randomly stumbled into this beautiful place. Okay, well, I want to go back there. So a couple times, I tried to go back, and the first couple times it didn't work. Well, maybe the third or fourth time I tried again, and the same thing. I did the same exact procedure or process, whatever. And when it got to the point where there was a space between my mind and my body, I went through that space again. And instead of ending up in this space where I felt like there was something like wrapping around me and like a protective, like awesome, like very light, beautiful thing, it was space, and it was ever expansive. And it occurred to me in that time was that all that space was never ending, and it was ever expansive. And what was really cool about that was that it felt like it went back around and actually enveloped my whole my mind and my body too. So it was interesting because the first time it felt like I was in this little tiny enclosed space right past my mind and body. But the second time I got there, it was like, whoa, this tiny enclosed space is actually, it's like everything else that exists outside of me. And in that time, I was extremely humbled by the size of everything else in the world and in the universe versus myself. Not versus, but like in comparison to myself. I felt very small and very tiny and just minuscule, like almost non-existent compared to all the space there. And that was an amazing realization, because what I realized was, if I can get to this space and I can feel this, there's nothing stopping anybody else from feeling this, first of all, but also this is real. I don't know if power is the right word, but energy. Yeah, it was real energy, right? And I felt very, very strongly at the time that I was tapping into that energy. And that's what was making me feel so alive, so amazing. And it was that realization at that time that there is so much more energy. And I mean, logically, I knew that. Like, I understand that everything around us is energy, or everything around me is energy. And, energy cannot be created or destroyed, so on and so forth. But I had never felt it. And there's a difference between knowing something logically and feeling something, like with every fiber of your being. And I don't exactly know what the being is, right? Maybe it's the mind, the body. Maybe it's your consciousness, mind, body. Maybe there's more. I don't know. But it was an indescribable amount of relief of, okay, there's all this energy, and I'm one tiny speck, but I can tap into this energy, and I can harness this energy, and I can do anything that I want to do. and there's nothing stopping me. In fact, there's a lot that's working with me. That was really an interesting experience. And it's one that I will remember forever. I mean, this happened a couple months ago, and still it is etched in vivid detail in my mind. And the only reason that I was able to have that experience was because of meditation. So when you talk about a morning routine, I don't know what the right one is for you, but what I can tell you is that my experience of trying different things, my experience of experimenting and trying to figure out what works for me, has led me to some amazing, amazing discoveries, both about myself and the world around me. And I think over time, I'll probably kind of settle into a morning routine that works best for me. But as of right now, I'm still trying. Now, the things that I do every day, brush my teeth, take a shower, all that stuff. I try to work out every day. I do try to write something every day, whether it be journaling or write something else. I create every single day, whether it be create a video, do an interview, any sort of creation, writing something. I know I kind of said writing already, but any sort of creative expression is very important to me, and I feel like I'm wasting my potential and wasting myself if I'm not creating. I mean, it's really it's an interesting dynamic between me and my desire to create. So I do that. I also drink apple cider vinegar because it's really good for you. And it makes me feel awesome. I try to eat really healthy every day. I try to spend time with people that I love every day, and I try to make progress every day. So I don't know if that's really helpful for you trying to build your morning routine. I think that just going and finding one that is like this is the default morning routine that you should always follow, like that's probably not going to work as well for you as for the person who made it, and that's their default routine. So it may work for you, and if it does, great. But I would highly encourage you to go try things, right? Try journaling, try meditation, try apple cider vinegar, try working out, try going for a run, try doing yoga, this, that, or the other thing. And you'd be surprised how quickly you identify the things that really work for you. It's one thing to say, all right, I'm going to go experiment and I'm going to go find the things that work for me and I'm going to be very calculated and blah, blah, blah. Now, that's like, it's not a hard science here. I mean, it's your morning routine. It's something that is very personal, and it's something that only you are going to know what feels right. So I can't tell you what your morning routine should be, and I would never try. But it's something where you will know, right? You're like, oh, how will I know? How will I know if it's the right thing? You'll feel it. You'll feel it. And unless you're just blatantly going to ignore what you are telling yourself, right? Like, how something feels. For example, when you eat something that doesn't taste good, that it doesn't taste good, so you don't continue eating it unless it's like vegetables and you need to get more nutrients. But you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing with your morning routine. If you're doing something and it feels good, then you should probably keep doing it. Now, there's a caveat to that. If it's like alcohol or drugs or things that are going to harm you in the long term, that's a different story. But if it like emotionally feels good, spiritually feels good, physically, again, take that with a grain of salt, feels good, intellectually feels good. One other thing that I do every day is I read. That is awesome. So I would highly encourage you to at least think about it, right? Like, what does it hurt to think about your daily routine? Because it happens every day. And so you might as well make the best out of it, right? Like, each day is going to go by and you're going to have your morning every day. And you might as well make it the best that it can be. You might as well make your morning serve you instead of you just kind of doing whatever and not making the most of it. At least that's my opinion. So I would actually love to hear what your morning routine is. And if there are any cool things that you want to share about your experiences with different parts of your morning routine. I'd love to hear about that. So, yeah, have fun, and I hope you find your morning routine, and I hope you find the things that truly, truly work the best for you. All right, have a good one.